Today is an opportunity for you all to get to know me. We'll talk about some things about me, and we got questions coming in. But before I begin, I want to say thank you. Thank you all for all the support, bringing me into the organization, welcoming me. Also for the transition, all the things I had to do from filing my voucher to going to the hospital and all those kind of things. To the welcome that you all bestowed to me and my family and friends that came through the change of command. I know some of you all were probably out in that formation, and just want to say thanks. From a person from a small town in Alabama, big honor to be here as your commander. Hope I do you proud as we launch off and try to do great things while I'm here at Joint Base Charleston. So just wanted to first start by saying thank you. And today again is designed to talk about what's going on. We'll get into hurricane stuff because I know that's probably on everybody's mind. In one of the calls, somebody said that I was a hurricane magnet. Like, man, wow, okay, we're going to roll that way. So this will be the second one, yeah? So I think I started, and I think I've gone over this, but Wednesday, change of command, fly to Scott Thursday morning for the AMC 4 stars change of command and retirement ceremony. That was Thursday, Friday, and they had like a call for all the wing commanders there. Saturday, returned about noon. Went directly into a conversation about what to do about the hurricane as it was approaching. Did the Air Force ball that night because that's what was already set up, and introduced the mayor. Woke up that morning, had more discussions, activated the CAT officially during that day, and then next day, Monday, we evacuated the base. So that was kind of my intro. I had planned to fly out on Monday at 2 o'clock because my household goods were scheduled to be packed up at Scott on that Tuesday. And of course, wasn't able to do that. Had to bring in a chief friend of mine who broke into my house and started the process of getting my household goods and stuff moved out of Scott Air Force Base. So eventually I can get them loaded up, because if not, I was going to lose that date. And I'm sure you all are aware how hard that can be, getting another date rescheduled. So stayed here. I was supposed to go to D.C. for the Air Force Association conference starting that Sunday. Couldn't do that. And then the wing commander had all the wing commanders come on Thursday and Friday of that week, and I was able to do that. So, and by the way, all this time I am TDY to Charleston, just FYI. So I was able to move, go back that weekend, get the house paperwork stuff signed with Hunt Housing there at Scott. And then on that Monday, I finally did my out processing, and then I came here in PCS actually here about 2 weeks ago. So just to let you know, as far as what I've been dealing with, still in the hotel, probably can't get moved in until the end of October. House won't be ready until Friday, and then I'll be traveling TDY. So that's just been my life. But again, thank you. So I'm still smiling. And then I didn't mention the hurricane and Florence in between, and now we're going to dance with Michael. I'm trying to name, so anybody got a bad Michael name, let me know. We can name him Michael Jackson or something. But we're going to be dancing with the hurricane. Hopefully it'll be less impact, same impact as we had when we dealt with Florence. But it has been a swirl for me, and I've had an opportunity to meet some of you all, from people who led my change of command ceremony that was out there, from MC to people who were in the background, from honor guard to people who sung and prayed and all that kind of stuff, and I am just happy to be here. So when my friends, that are finding out, because everybody doesn't even know I'm here, just FYI, I have people at Scott who still think I'm there because we weren't able to get to a large farewell or anything like that. And as people find out that I'm actually here in Charleston, I've actually moved, then they're asking a lot of questions. And I would say, I'm still smiling, and part of that reason is because of, people like you who are in the audience who've done a lot of support, who've briefed me, who gave me a lot of insight as far as what to expect here at the job. And I would say from that point, I'm blessed. I talked to my mom, and we had the conversation, but I think that hurricane gave me an opportunity to really see my team in action, see what you all can do, and also to bond with my mission partners, those people who I support and we support day in and day out. Have an opportunity to see their mission up close, to understand the things that they value as far as what we do to support them. And as you all know, we do a lot to support them. They can't do their mission without us. So as I roll in, I think my motto may be, my mission is your mission, something like that, because it is 100% true. My mission is their mission, you support their mission, and you support the mission here. So we're going to polish up what I'll have my, as far as strategic talking points and my strategy. You kind of hear some of the things I rolled in with, but normally, I would have probably had 6 months to 8 months to prepare for coming to command. So we're rolling in and going to try to do the best we can with the talent that we have. So first slide, I'm going to roll through and get time to talk. That's me and the fam there. Growing up, no laughter. I see you smiling, laughing at my fro, my haircut. So no laughter, no judgment on these pictures now. I don't want to see these on Facebook posted anywhere. But that's me and my mom, brothers and sisters, and my little bunny rabbit right there. Born and raised in Tuskegee, Alabama. A lot of history there. Next slide. So it started there in Tuskegee. You see that's the central Alabama. I enlisted into the Army directly out of high school. Did 2 years active duty. I came into the Army active duty, was at Fort Bragg. And I was a cook doing there, and that's up there too, 94 Bravo. And I got out after those 2 years, got into the Army Reserve, and started college at the same time. And then I got activated for Desert Storm. I came back, got in Air Force ROTC, and that's when I started my Air Force career, and then been on various assignments. Next, I don't know if we're going to talk about that. That's kind of school and some stuff and some assignments. So a lot of places around the world, a lot of 1 year and 2 year assignments. So been doing a lot of movement. I think I may be on 12 or 13. Who's counting right now? It doesn't matter. Next slide. All right, so let's talk about you and how I want you all to think. I want you all to focus on family, and I have another slide that kind of maybe depicts a little better. But in short, there's only one you to your family. There are many of you for the mission. If that makes sense. So you only got one person. You're a daughter, son, the unique person that you are, you represent for your family. If you're the head of the household, you support that household, you may be that only person. I may have another person in your section that can do the job, maybe not as well as you can do the job, but they can do the job similarly, right? So that means for you, I want you to be focused on your family. The unit, the collective of the unit, will focus on the mission. But if you're not focused on that family, then who is? Right? So we're going to roll with family first. That's the motto here. Whatever you need to do for your family, take every day of leave. So of course in my move, I had planned for some things to do that got canceled. I canceled all the things that I could. So I think I lost so many days. But this is just a last minute kind of thing. We don't want to put you in the same situation. So if you can prevent it, the idea and the goal is for you to take all your leave, take it when you want it, work it out with your supervisors, So I'll come in and say things like this, and commanders may or may not like. You don't have to come in. So in this age of technology, for some of your jobs, not all of your jobs, but for some of your jobs, you don't need to be sitting at your desk to do them. If you look at any corporate America kind of company that we have that's been very successful, they do a lot of things, telework, they do a lot of work because they're mobile. We can do the same thing. And I authorized that and told commanders for those jobs that don't need you in their office, you don't need to be in your office. I went through a transition at my last job to where we had to do this huge renovation of the workplace. And we were out for like 2 months, and I didn't miss any information I needed, didn't miss a meeting, didn't get barked at any more than I usually get barked at, because I was the IT guy. So all your comm that sucks around here, that's what I was doing as the A6 at AMC. So the 4-star, this is real. He would just poke me just for fun. The new 3-star gets there. I haven't even met him when I went back for one of those trips, that trip I told you about. For the change of command, I'm in a meeting, had met the dude, and he just pokes me. Well, TA's the problem. And I'm already gone, out of that job, already in wing command, and I'm still getting blamed for AMC comm stuff. But I just say that to say is that, we have comm stuff that's going on, but the idea is that we want to make sure that I'm authorizing and allowing commanders to choose to do what they want to do with their workforce. I'm not telling them to do it, I'm not demanding them to do it, but I want to introduce some reality into the workplace to say you don't necessarily have to be in your office to do some of your jobs. Like vehicle maintenance, I went by and saw those folks, they need to be there. Unless they're going to take the vehicle home, which probably won't be good. They need to be in the workplace. But there's some jobs that may be more administrative, on a computer. I don't care if you're not there. I can call you if I need you. The boss can call you. That's just me. That's TA and how I see about leadership. As long as you're responsive, because I know it works. I've seen it work. It worked for me, and it's worked for corporate for years. We're just behind the times and doing some of these things. Some officers in DOD do it. It's just less positive, or less probably frequent that you hear a lot of military organizations to talk about that. So I'm just open to that. Just wanted to share that with you. Family first, it's important that you do that, and we'll kind of show a slide on that. As far as the no, I've always, probably been since my squadron command, been willing to say, how can we get to yes? Customer service with a smile. So I don't think, if you deployed with me back in the day, because I did a lot of deployments, the motto was aggressive combat customer service with a smile. So I can say no to somebody very well and with a smile, and they'll leave happy. Depends on how you have your approach and your mindset, right? So there are things that I know we can't do, but I would like for us to come together as a team and decide when we say no, because that's a collective no, not an individual no. Unless I've given you some list or some things that are outside the barrier, and the things that we know up front will be no, breaking some law or something like that. Other than that, I would like to enter into a conversation with customers that would get us to a yes. And that could be changing a policy. That could be more money. They may bring some money, but you at your individual level saying no may not be good for the mission. Because what that does is that it stops any kind of conversation about doing something innovative. And I want all of us to be thinking about how we innovate around our mission. And innovation is not just technology. A lot of times it gets translated into technology, but it could be streamlining processes. It could be more creative ways of thinking about the problem, turning the problem upside down and looking at it differently. And that's the mindset I want to kind of instill in you. And it starts by not saying no. Because if you say no, in some ways it cuts off the conversation. And if you've been on the phone with somebody, customer service, trying to get an airplane flight or trying to get something uniquely done, and the person just says no, we all would value if the person just put you on hold and act like they were talking to their supervisor, right? Trying to appear they're doing something. But the no just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Let me put it that way. When somebody just automatically says no, a lot of times people just want to be heard as well. So in this customer service business that we're in, people want to be heard. So listen to what people are saying. There may be some compromise we can get to. So that's the kind of thing I'm talking to my group commanders, and hopefully that's going to roll down so you all understand what that means and what that will mean here at Joint Base Charleston. Next slide. All right, so I gave them this as initial guidance. These were the kind of things that I believe that I want to make sure people know and understand. And it is some facets you get down to this thing that says about this communication, what we just got through talking about. And I do believe the more transparent we are, the more we allow people to hold us accountable. If you got a gym partner or anybody like that, just the nature of somebody saying it's time to go work out is a push effect to get you to go to the gym as well. So I think this accountability leads to us being excellent. So we want to make sure we're being transparent. Trust is another key component to organizations. Organizations move at the speed of trust. If there's not trust in your supervisor and your leadership, you can see how slow those organizations move. I want to trust you all for doing your job, and you have my trust from day one, because that's the only way that I can lead at my level, because I don't know everybody individually. So I'm going to have to trust you all to do the job that you've been trained to do. Dignity and respect. I want to create an environment where we have dignity and respect. And I think that dignity in some ways will stamp out any of the illity that you find in organizations, the sexual assault or the harassment, any of those things that plague. I think if we honor the person to our left and our right, if you truly value what they bring to the table, if you truly understand them, have a conversation with them, I think we can have some of those things to be decreased. So I want this environment in our wing where we are dignifying each other and respecting each other. And we'll talk about some of what that means in some later slides. Next. All right, so this is kind of trying to illustrate, these are the things that I kind of roll with, and again, since I was a squadron commander, these were the 5 F's on your left, and that was, the mission was first mission, and that's how I was able to make that M turn into an F, is put first in front of it, so that's how I used to roll, and as you know, we get older, we mature, and realize what's really important, and I think that family piece is important, and that's why I wanted to illustrate that if you take care of your families, the unit will take care of the mission, and you are a subset of that mission and a subset of that unit. But we need you to focus in on your family. So there's also family first, and I would say family future. What are you doing to plan for your family's future? When I was younger and I had a lot of time, I would bring in everybody in my squad and we'd sit down and I would go with three things. Education, because I didn't get that when I was in the Army. I think I told other group, when I took some classes as an E2, I was called schoolboy. I had negative peer pressure, bullying back then. Why are you going to school? College boy, all this kind of stuff, right? But you all live in a culture in the Air Force that where you can go to school. And you probably would think that it's foreign to what I'm saying, but it's true. That different services value different things, and you're in the service in some ways that values education. So education is important. Investing. Started out, if you came in when I did, it was savings bonds. Go invest in the country by buying savings bonds, right? And if somebody had told me about a mutual fund, again, small town, boy from Alabama didn't know savings bonds, but they had no idea about mutual funds or any kind of stocks, right? So share that. That's the age that people are living in. You have an opportunity for TSP, and I encourage you to do that. And then the third thing would be goal planning. How do you plan for your goals, short-term and long-term? And then also, if you have a family or building a family, education is going to help in all those kind of things. Of course, money is going to help in all those things, but it's going to position you. And you have to ask yourself the question, I mean, like me, if you weren't born into wealth, what are you doing to create wealth for your next generation? Maybe your immediate family you may be doing that for, but it could be a cousin or a brother or uncle, right? You have the opportunity to do that today by investing wisely and spending your money, but if no one's talking to you about that, then it may be hard to get there. So education, investing, and then goal planning for your future. And I also would advise that you get a mentor. So as you're on this journey, you pick the destination, you determine who's in the vehicle with you. I would ask that you get some mentor to get in that car with you. You can put them in the trunk, you can put them on the roof, but have them in that vehicle with you along for the ride, giving you advice about if you turn left, go up this hill, go around that corner, this is what you may run into. But it's your job to seek that mentor out because you're the one that's in need, right? We want to make sure you're learning. That's why people read books and talk to other people, is to learn from their mistakes. And if you're not doing that, then you're missing an opportunity. You have a wealth of people around you that can offer that mentorship for you. All right, next. So that's to get into the MAP concept, the mission, airmen, and partners. I think we can map our way to success if we focus on that mission, and then also on the airmen. Airmen will include you and your family, and then the partnerships will be the partnerships on base and the partnership externally in the community. And I would say one of the things that I would try to really dive into this community piece, because I think it can offer us a lot of solutions by partnering with community. At DISA, at Scott, when I worked with them, they were standing up another site in Utah, and they didn't even pay for the building. The state paid for the building and everything, so they didn't have to go through this whole MILCON process that we're dealing with. But the state wanted jobs, and as long as they promised they were going to give them like 40% of the job market locally, then they would build a building, and they leased the building back to DISA for $1 a month. So there's opportunity in partnership. You just have to build those relationships to get there. And a lot of times, because our manning has been cut, we spend time a lot on base and not building the opportunity out with the community, and that may be where we can find our biggest rewards, is talking to the community. And they're promoting this public-private, private-public partnership. The OSD is promoting that. We just have to make time to get there. And since we cut our manning, we just started focus internally on the job so much, I think that we're losing the opportunity to be more strategic, getting out in front of some things. So that's where I want to kind of focus there. So that's the partnership. These three L's, again, this is going back. So you're going to probably hear some of these things in a theme of listening to people, lifting them up, and that's for finding opportunities to develop people, to mentor them. And then this concept of love that you know in your personal life, but we rarely ever talking about it in military life, right? We rarely talk about this love component. And I think it's a valuable component for each one of you all to think about. And that goes back to dignity and respect. If you have a position where you're thinking, what's the best thing to do for these individuals up and down, whether you like them or not, are your actions today showing that you care about them? Are your actions today showing that you love the person next to you? And you don't have to know them. I mean, I have odds with family all day long, but there's still a foundation of love that's there, and I think we can capitalize on that in our wing, because I want our wing to be a family. Earlier, somebody asked me, why did we change? If you notice, the welcome to Joint Base Charleston. So when I got here, I see, somebody asked me the why. Why do we do that? Why do we make that change? As a new person here, if somebody comes to my house, I was always taught to welcome them. So if somebody comes on the base and now I'm the installation commander on the base, it's just a simple welcome. I don't know what it translates to the defenders or to whatever stories may be told, but it's just to say, welcome to Joint Base Charleston. And of course, I knew I couldn't mandate a smile, but it would be nice if you get a smile along with it, right? But it may not be in the contract to smile. It may not be, but you know, we have our defenders there where they are the first point of defense. They're also the first person you're going to see as well. So what's that experience going to be for somebody? And you never know when it could be somebody's first time to the installation. So just want to make sure we welcome people with a smile, treat people again with dignity and also respect. Next slide. All right, so these are priorities, and this is what we're going to shape. This slide hopefully will be different in the future. I'm going to have an off-site with my senior leaders, and we're going to shape the priorities that I'm going to get from OSD, Secretary of Defense, all the way down, Chief of Staff, Secretary of the Air Force, to our 4-star, down through my boss at the EC, General Gordy, at the Expeditionary Center, and at the wing here. What are going to be our priorities? How do we nest our priorities up to our higher headquarters? And we'll have you be a part of that, you and your key leaders. Next slide. All right, so this is the zero tolerance. Wake up, you're taking a nap. Now is the time. So I was in this seat before. I fell asleep in Commander's Call before too. So one thing we want to do is make Commander's Call fun. So where's Jack? Jack there. Jack's got a cool name, Jack Blaze. Y'all heard of him? Like Jack Bauer. So Jack's got a cool name back there. He's the one that's going to help me. I would like this to be a little more livelier. Some music, some snacks, some popcorn. Right? I mean, it's possible. It's only popcorn. It's not expensive. So we get some popcorn here, some music. So did you all like the music coming in? I mean, some music playing, different environment, right? All right, so, but we want to make Commander's Call fun. Jack, I want to start a band, so I want to do this thing called birthday bashes. We're going to get together at the club, have a little cake, celebrate. We do it once a month, just celebrating birthdays. About a 30-minute event come in, birthday people will sing happy birthday to them, we cut some cake. If you all work to get a band, then we can have the band playing, live music. If not, I'll get a DJ, right? And we'll just mix it up and have a birthday bash, or we have some fun. Because I'm going to still hit you over the head about what you're not going to do later on in this slide, but now I got your attention. And that's how Commander's Call is going to work. All right, we're going to have fun, and then I'm going to tell you the things that I don't want you to do. And if you do it, then I'm going to punish you, and we're going to move on. And I've punished and hugged in the same meeting. And for the parents in the room, it's clear. You'll understand it later on. I give you, and I will juice you up. I won't be doing it now, but right, as a squadron commander, give you the juice because it's rehabilitative. Give you a hug, water under the bridge, no judgment, we're moving on. We all make mistakes. I met plenty of chiefs with Article 15s, plenty. And it was at Article 15 that put them on the right path. So I don't mind the discipline part of the job. It's more so, what's your attitude when you come into the office? You know, what's your goals? It goes back to goals. What do you want to do with yourself even if you stumble? Valley moments when you're down here, best time to learn. It's when you're up here on the hill beating on your chest, you're really not learning a lot because you're just all motivated with happiness and success. But I think when you're at your lowest point in these valley moments is when you learn more, right? That's just how life is, student of life. All right, so those are the things. We won't tolerate this. Don't get caught up in some of these things, right? If you think that I'm a toxic leader, let me know. Iron sharpens iron. We owe each other conversation and feedback. So as long as it's constructive feedback, you can feel free to tell me all day long. I don't wake up thinking that I'm the best thing in the world. So I'm thick skin, let me know. And each one of you have the ability to help me set that environment and also that peer pressure of, if something's going wrong and you see it, then you have to say something. Don't sit back and let somebody do something bad, right? And you're right there, because then you become part of the problem. So I ask you to be bold and be courageous in your conversations and in your leadership to stamp out this stuff. Some of this stuff shouldn't even get to my level, right? Because you're closer to the problem than I am. So I ask you to get involved in that. Next slide. All right, those are leadership tips. We won't go into that right now. I'll have a mentor session where we'll get down. If you all want to come, I'll have it probably won't be a commander's call, it'll just be a mentor session, and we'll come in and we can talk about leadership, and we'll just have you all ask questions if you want to know and learn from my experiences. But we can talk about, some of those things later. But we also want to tell airmen stories, and again, these are my ideas that I want to do. If you want to help me do those things, then jump on board. And again, Jack and K9 can serve as a POC for these things, but I do want to get to where we're telling airmen stories. I think we don't tell, we talk about people probably when they're born, you're going to get some announcement, and when you die. There's some accomplishment between high school graduation, perhaps. Also, in the military, we'll do when you get promoted and when you retire. And I want to roll differently. I would like to have a conversation and tell airmen stories about their accomplishments just because. So we're going to get to this just because, telling airmen and sailors stories. And I invite you, if you want to be a part of setting it up and helping me plan that, that we do it. And we want to highlight the accomplishments that you're doing all throughout your time that you're here at Joint Base Charleston, not just when you're getting a promotion. Because I think that's valuable, and then it creates this environment of care, love, and support when we do that. And those are going to be the concepts that I want to try to roll out while we're here. All right, next slide. Communication in a mobile environment. Came in and told my team, texting is great. Get 1,000 emails. I would like for you to call me, have a face-to-face conversation. It's like earlier, I think we had Sergeant Smith to add in raise your hand, because the script only said, I think, right? Didn't say raise your hand. So the script earlier encouraged you to text in a note, right? It encouraged you to do that. Never once did we tell you to raise your hand. We did it in this session, but we can't forget the opportunity to engage with people face-to-face and have a conversation one-on-one. I know that's kind of foreign sometimes. So I like both. I like the face-to-face because it gives me an opportunity to meet people. But when I'm not around, texting works well. And I would rather get because I believe at least the 50 to 70% of the answer comes from the airman in the work center or the sailor in the work center. It doesn't come from the squadron commander. Now, the squadron commander can polish it and make it better, but that answer really lies in you. So you all know the answer, but it takes me probably a week to get it because it's got to go hit all these different levels to get to me. So I'm like, give me this 70% on time, then giving me the 100% 2 days later when I don't need the information. All right? So I want to speed up our communication. And again, organizations move at the speed of trust. So I want your leaders to trust you at whatever level you are to feed me information, include them into the conversation by courtesy copying them or adding them to the text. And if you're saying something, they have something they can add 5% more, 10% more, then they have the opportunity to do that. But don't starve me of information because they're trying to get it 100%. So that's the kind of message I gave to them. Flatter organizational structure and for communication, you'll still rock and roll regular through your chain of command for regular things, but for comms, we just got to go better. There's conversations about, we kind of had this thing about family and work. A lot of people will say you always will be out of balance. There's really no balancing between work and family. Sometimes family is going to have a priority. Sometimes work may have a priority, right? Your job is to ensure you have harmony across the board with your family and your work center is the idea of that bullet that's up there. Next slide. Music, fun, and commander's call. I think I kind of talked about it already. I just had Jack to add that up there because we do want to do that and have a band. I'm serious about the band, just FYI. Joint basing, so we're on our anniversary. October 1st was 8 years of being as a joint base. So we didn't have a party and a cake, but we may do that later on. But we want to make sure we celebrate that. We are one of the 7 joint bases that are doing well. From a recent survey and study, 5 other joint bases are kind of struggling, either not getting the resources they need or the governance that they need to make decisions when they run into friction points. But I think the customers here and also the people doing the work for joint basing here love the concept that we have. You don't often find where we're both tied to the hip together, traveling together, doing stuff. It's usually separate. But Charleston has a unique, and this is, of course, all the leaders before me put this in place to where we're integrated. We're not, I know some other joint bases, they may go and work for the joint base activity for like 3 days a week. They go back, some of them go for hours in a day, but we're totally integrated across the board, and I haven't heard too many complaints about that, so I think it's working, and I don't want to come here and mess it up, because it's got a good track record, all right? Next slide. So added this slide for civilian personnel. We have a civilian personnel expert in the room right here, but more so to talk about the new things that they have under their belt. One of them is the diversity plan. If you're familiar with those awareness activities that we put on that was in EO or MEO, and now that's moved over to civilian personnel as the lead. We want to solicit volunteers to be able to go in and help and assist. And that's part of this strategic alignment I want to do, is align the things that are priorities and then measure you on those things. So then you will be measured on reports, evaluations toward the goals of the wings. And we want to make sure that you all know and are tracking that as well. So we'll publicize that, but this is one of the things that we want to make you aware of. Next slide. All right, so have this up because there's a lot of stuff up here, right? And this is, asking you the question with all the things you have on your plate, what do you value? What rings clear for you? Because what rings clear for you is probably what you're going to do. Those are things you're going to focus on, and you're going to miss some things up there. There's a lot of stuff up there, and I know your squadron commanders and group commanders are wrestling with this because there's more things they get on their plate. Some of those things they get, but we need to become clear about what we value. And what I value is you. So as all the things that we do, we want to make sure that we don't miss you into all this mess. All these policies and rules and things that we have to do, at the basic level, are we answering the needs of our airmen? Because I think, again, if we take care of you on the individual level, a lot of these rest of these things will take care of themselves, right? So that's the kind of focus is there, is for you to understand what you value and for you to know what do I value. And we will work together to make sure those things come together, all right? Next slide. All right, so that may be confusing to some of you all, because everybody know Chief Cole, he's retired, but we got this slide says new, so I've hired another Chief Cole to come in. He was that good, I was like, man, give me another. So I said, give me a Chief Cole. So Michael Cole is going to come in. I've selected him to be the next wing command chief here. He's coming in from Hawaii. He's actually at a joint base, right? And he's on the other side. That's one of the reasons why he got selected is he's on the other side of this. The Navy is actually the joint base lead in Hawaii. So as a tenant, he gets to see. So I brought him in so he won't forget when he's in this position what it felt like to be a tenant, right? So I think that's going to be a good person that we got in, a lot of experience under his belt. He's already a command chief now, and we'll welcome him in November. So we may have a commander's call next, maybe around that time or sometime in December or something like that. But we'll give him a bit welcome too, right? And I already got a whole list of projects for him that I'm saving up. So I sent him an aloha today. Next slide. I think that's it. So I did want time check. I did want to leave. 15:40. I did want to leave some time for questions.
What is your stance in regard to pineapple on pizza?
Who asked that? Hopefully this won't offend you. I love it. Did I mess up? I actually like fruit integrated with meals, so. And so I was in Hawaii. This pineapple thing is great for the digestive system. The acid in there helps digest. So I love the pineapple. I'm a pineapple fan, and I'll throw it on a pizza every day of the week. FYI. But that's a great question. That's the best question I had all day. Wow. Thanks.
All right. The schools are closed tomorrow. Will the CDC be open?
Yes. I didn't do hurricane, so let's do hurricane talk. Sorry about that. All right, so right before I came in, we're trying to, so it's just a fast-moving train. I've been doing commander's call all day. I didn't know so I'm just finding out like probably 30 minutes before I walked in here, schools were closed, trying to confirm government offices are closed, which one, federal, state, local. So they're meeting now in the CAT. I'm going to be texting them my direction shortly. But in general, right, so all these words are not going to be 100% right now because I'm finalizing the formulation based on one bit of information I'm waiting on. The posture we're going to be in, the base is going to be open. We will allow commanders to make decisions about what's appropriate. Because again, my mission is their mission. Some of our mission partners, or at least from what we got the last CAT we had this morning, some of those mission partners are going to still remain open. And I think we can still support those mission partners without putting, our airmen and sailors in danger. So that's going to be the posture. The posture is, if you are working for an organization and don't have the need to do some support, we're going to allow those commanders to make the decisions as far as the work. When we looked at the storm in this track, we don't foresee a lot of damaging rain and storm here because of the gusts and the winds and how our buildings are structured. The one thing that we were concerned about were people traveling in that, right? So as we see the weather in the weather report, we want to give those commanders. So I think we're going to do liberal leave, for folks. But that's going to give this flexibility for those squadron commanders who are closer to the mission to support our mission partners. So that's the posture we're in right now, not leading toward any kind of closures, didn't get any data points from weather or anybody that was recommending that the installation should be closed. There may be certain areas that may be on limited operations, but nothing that we determine that's related to the mission. So things like the library. We think the clinics are going to still be open, the last word I got. There may have some other those facilities and services inside the clinic that may be limited, but nothing that was going to dictate from a mission operation that we need to be 100% closed. Did that kind of answer any follow-up on that? Because I know that this usually gets a lot of energy and questions, so feel free to ask now if that wasn't clear. So there's going to be more conversation coming out today. We'll release a CAT directive, and we'll release an ad hoc with the language we're going to use. And that's as of right now, right? I may get back after this, and there could be another weather update that moves the storm, or find out that, all the government offices are going to be closed. I'm big on looking at the optic as well. We may be, if we're one of the only kind of federal installations that's still open, if the rest of them are closed, that's an optic and a data point. But right now, as far as the weather that we're receiving and the missions that we want to do, I think your commanders are going to be in the best position to make that call if somebody else wants support. So when I got here, there's a lot of concern because I don't want to be the commander that dictates to those other 06s on the Navy side or the Air Force side how to do their mission. And I can, in some ways, do that by withdrawing our services, and I can do that by closing the base. And I don't want to be the one that stops them from doing their mission, only because for a SPAY war, for example, I mean, we spent like $3 million, on this hurricane some of y'all went on while I was still here working, right? Yeah, man, I saw people in Florida, Falcons game, Tampa Bay. I'm like, man, hanging out with a rat at Disney World. I'm like, man, people are all over the place. And I'm here still trying to get my household goods, and then the bill comes in $3 million. Man, y'all are expensive. So when we do that for SPAY War, they lost like $2 million because they are a profit-generating organization. So every time I close the base, then it affects their bottom line. So understanding your mission partners and what they need is what I'm trying to do. And as long as I can continue to do that and don't put you in harm's way, we're going to rock and roll like that all day long. So that's the kind of posture we're in. There will be, again, like libraries, some other things that are not mission related. Those things may be closed. But as far as the base and its ability to be open, we'll do that. And if your squadron commander decides you want to rock and roll, I'm telling them they have the ability to rock and roll, and you all do something different. The only thing the squadron commander probably can't do is authorize administrative leave. They can do liberal leave, comp time all day long, but if it's going to come out of a central funded pot, then they're going to have to talk to me. So that's where we are with that. Earlier we got questions. Any weather questions? Other questions we got earlier were on the traffic light. I know that's still a problem on Dorchester coming in. That cross section, it looks like that's going to be early in the year, and that's going to be resolved and fixed. And what I've asked the MSG to do is during high peak times, is to have, some patrols there, some cops there that's directing traffic. We also had a member from our safety shop that brought up the fact about how safe that is in the turning lane, and we're going to look at, we can make that safe in the interim period upon which we're trying to get that light fixed. I don't think I got DFAC questions previously, but if I'm just like, good, I'm clairvoyant. So DFAC, we just want to make sure that we have kind of a date, and I know that dates move. So I told my team is what I dislike is when we are doing the yo-yo with you and your lives, right? We say 1 month is not there. So I'm not going to give you month. I'm going to say spring. Early in the year, spring, DFAC will open. Once I get clarification on the date, then I can rock and roll with a date. But I don't want to, because I mean, when we do that, now I got to go put in more money, policy. I got to change your subsistence, right? So that's paperwork we got to file. Every time we do this domino, it's more work that we put on ourselves. So let's not yo-yo around with a date, because we don't control that date. The traffic light, for an example, contractor, we thought we had a good contractor in with the right skills and equipment, found out we needed some other stuff, so we started advertising a date, then we found out we couldn't, so we had to go back to the contractor to get more work done, right? We don't do ourselves the justice, right, when we think we know the answer, and we have to just know what do we control. When we're dealing with contractors and certain things we control and some things we don't. But messaging, we do control. So we can tell you the when, right? And I want to have an approach where we advertise that in a manner that we can stick with it, not one that's going to go up and down all the time. And that's kind of an art form that we'll try to do. So I'll just let you know that'll be my approach. We'll see if it works, because I do know even what I'm saying, saying spring, hopefully it won't end up being summer, but spring gives me, more kind of leeway when we're advertising things that we want to do that's not 100% in our control. All right, what's next over there? CMC?
War Eagle or Rolltide?
War Eagle, baby, what's wrong? I mean, you saw where I was rocking Auburn. No Rolltide.
All right, has there been any discussion or efforts towards partnering with community partners to establish funded van pools for base personnel to help reduce traffic?
No, but there should. Who wants to help me? So I lived in D.C. So there's a lot of things that we can do. I mean, that's one I think we should lock in. Because that is, so I mean, you all are, so now we get into the thought up here. This is a growing metropolis kind of area with a lot of segregated areas and bridges that forces traffic through certain areas. This is a prime area for that kind of stuff, right? The city is already working on putting in a light rail system, but until they get the light rail system, I really haven't seen, and I'm kind of new, but I haven't seen anything about carpooling. Parking lots where community people can go to. Anybody know what slugging is? Sluggers. You slugged before? Anybody else know slugging? Have you slugged? Slugged? Slugged?
I haven't, but I know people who do.
All right, so this is a concept of where and this is D.C. because of traffic. You set up these places at the Pentagon and various places around, and people who need extra riders to get into HOV, they pull up into these lanes, and it's marked the destination. It may say going to the Pentagon or going to the State Department, and you just hop in with somebody you don't know. And they use the body count to get through the HOV. They take you to a central point. The central point usually has a metro system that's right there, and also a bus station. At the Pentagon, huge bus station. So it's a major slug route. So you either go into the Pentagon for work, or you go into to get on one of the bus, or you go underground into the metro. And I don't think that I haven't read or heard of anybody being killed, hurt, or harmed, and especially in a city like D.C., right, to where that's been a problem. And it's been working for decades, slugging, because it helps with the traffic, right? And then, now there are some rules, like you can't, like some people don't want you to talk, some people don't want you to read. I mean, they just want you to, but so think about it. You get somebody else's gas, you can read and do work while you're driving. There's some bennies, and I know for the foreign people who are like, man, I would never do that. Once you're in a different environment, you'll be surprised at what you do, because it's not dangerous. So depending on where you're from, but back to the point, I would encourage us to work with the community to do that. So if we can take that for Action Blaze or whoever's taking notes, I'll champion that soon. What else? That's why I like y'all. Y'all got some good ideas.